Well, just a bit of an update on the old truck. 32 Chevy Confederate, becoming hot rod slowly at my pace, but at any rate, FedEx showed up this morning. FedEx is my friend, and they brought me, it was like Christmas around here for a little while. They brought this water pump, and this is my inline electric water pump, 12-volt water pump. It's going to go in that lower radiator hose down there, or one like it, and that will circulate water, because that little pump right there, itty bitty little guy, just won't do it, but that will. So I'm gonna have to wait for some fittings. I kind of didn't investigate far enough to learn that these are NA fittings, they're called. I've never dealt with that before, don't know anything about it. So, but I called them up and ordered the fittings that'll get me from that 1-inch NA O-ring seal type fitting to a smooth hose, radiator hose fitting for both the top and the bottom, 1.5 on the bottom and 1.25 on the top. So those adapters will probably be here Monday. And you know, I was just itching to get that thing on there, but I'm going to wait until I get the right fittings and do it right. And also another thing that I had ordered, I don't know if I'll use this, but this little fill spout mounts in the radiator hose here, and if I do use this radiator, that would allow me to go ahead and just mount my little microphone hood ornament up there permanently, I guess. Pop in, or I'll make a little plate to go in here and pop in, or weld in, or whatever, because I really don't need access to that if I have this fill spout down here. So somebody suggested that, and that was a good suggestion, and I wanted to say thanks. I hadn't thought of that, but that's a real good suggestion. And I'm thinking that I may go back to my very first original plan on this thing. When I first started this build back last November, my thought was that I would mount the radiator in the back. And I may go ahead and do that if this water pump proves out, and if the engine runs cool, I don't have any issues. I just want to make sure I'm not going to yank this engine and put something else in there before I do all the work. But if this engine runs cool with that pump in line, then I might mount a radiator in the back, not particularly this one, because that small Subaru radiator cooled this thing just perfectly when I had it running and had it mounted up there. So I might mount that in the back, and then that would let me, I was talking to Barney back in South Carolina, a YouTube buddy, on the phone the other night, and he said, well, have you thought about putting it in the back? And I said, yeah, I had originally, but not lately. So he kind of brought that up again, and we revisited that idea. And that would allow me, as he said, to go ahead and use my honeycomb radiator up front just for looks, and I might do that. I just don't know yet. So if you'll notice here, the spoke wheel is back on the front, and that's often spoke wheel's back on, and that's because I got some adapters, and they didn't quite fit over the hubs on those 54 Chevy hubs, but with a little bit of work in the lathe, they do now. So I'll be able to run my spokes, not necessarily these, but I'm going to Spokane next weekend and look at some wheels over there. And anyway, things are kind of on hold. I mean, there's a million things I could be doing. I could still work on that floor of that bed, but I don't want to start on my brake pedals until I know that engine's going to run cool. And I'm going to wait for these fittings till I get the right ones. So it'll be next week before I get that pump in. And in the meantime, this little girl over here, and I'm thinking I might just go ahead and put a new master cylinder on that thing today and kind of get it ready, because there's a car show tomorrow, and I think I'll just go and let this thing rest for a day or two and work on the green bean a little bit. So just a little update on the hot rod.